Here's how you can get cheap or even free houseplants. I know I'm not gonna tell you to steal them because we don't do that here. Join local Facebook plant groups. People are constantly posting purges or free and cheap plants and cuttings on Facebook groups, so you need to join your local ones. Next, make a plant friend. Find someone near you that's open to trading plants and cuttings and trade with them. And last but certainly not least is check the clearance section of your big box stores because sometimes they have some crazy cheap plants. This is day 8 of 30 of my beginner plant parent tips. Follow along for more.
If these plants don't live in the low light area that you want them to live, nothing will. Jade Pothos and Golden Pothos, they're about as low light tolerant as it gets and super hardy. Another great trailing option are Scindapsus pictus. This is the exotica, but Silver Splash is also really good. Of course, snake plants. There's tons of different varieties. More variety, and they all, I mean, this is like as close as you can get to having a fake plant while still having a real plant. ZZ plant, either the Raven or the standard. Even the Zenzi ZZ is also really nice. Tons of different kinds of Chinese evergreen or Aglaonema. They come in lots of different colors and leaf patterns. Here's another one, and another one. And last but not least, Dracaena Lisa. Green Jewel.
Propagating a snake plant. First, find a leaf that you maybe want to propagate. I look for one that's damaged, like this one. Cut the leaf off. There's 2 common ways to propagate it. One, just cut it and place it in the soil. The other one, cut it, put it in some water, and let some roots grow first. This has been in water for about a month to get these little roots. You have to make sure that the root end goes down and then the tip end stays up. If you mess it up, it's not gonna sprout roots. I'm gonna take this one and put it directly into the soil, and I'm gonna put it in there with these ones that already have roots and just kind of see how they all grow. I cut the leaf into these little arrows so that I know which side is up and which side is down. Then they're super easy to just stick into the soil. Just plop them all around, bury them, and then in a couple weeks, they're gonna sprout roots. So we're done. That's it. Easy.
You can't grow the perfect Monstera forever. Eventually, you'll run out of space, or the pot size gets too big, or your moss pull isn't working anymore, but you will need to start over. Hack your plants to bits, cram it in water, and start over. Check out Kill This Plant for more.
Did you know that a lot of our favorite houseplants are actually endangered? I'll show you some of the ones that I have. This is the Philodendron gloriosum. It's native to Colombia and it's currently listed as vulnerable. I grew this Anthurium magnificum from seed and it's actually listed as near threatened. Even though this Hoya weyertii is actually pretty common as a houseplant, it is endangered in its native habitat in the Philippines. The Amorphophallus corpseflower plant is actually endangered. I bought this one as a seedling. There are several species of Ripsalis that are listed as endangered or critically endangered, and I have a few of them in this box. This one is endangered, this one is vulnerable, and this one's also vulnerable. So this Jobii I think is a special case because only 2 of them have ever been spotted in the wild, so I think it's safe to say that it's endangered or vulnerable somehow, although it's not officially listed that way.
Want to see my favorite basic and common houseplants that I feel everybody should have in their collection? Let's go. First up is Scindapsus pictus exotica. It's such a full, beautiful, striking plant. The leaves stay really big and it stays really full even as a hanging plant. Next up is a Hoya pubicalyx. This one is just wild and crazy, and what I love the most is when it needs support to grow higher and bigger, it supports itself. So cute. Next is Pilea peperomoides because it puts out babies so much and then you can share them with friends, which is super fun. This right here is a white butterfly Syngonium. Really cool looking, kind of sculptural looking, how it hangs off to the side like that, and low maintenance. And last up is a holiday cactus. This is a Thanksgiving cactus. The bracts are really unusual looking, and it gets these wonky looking blooms, which we love.
Contrary to popular belief, misting your houseplants does not raise the humidity enough for it to significantly impact your plants at all. If you're looking to raise the humidity for your houseplants, here's a few things you could do instead. You can use a cloche dome. This one I got at Dollar Tree today for $1. I got this nice glass one off of Amazon, and then this one's actually made out of a to-go container. You could build a type of terrarium. This container is actually a drink dispenser. I got at Goodwill for $5. This option is a little more expensive, but you could get a plant cabinet, a humidifier. You could also use a pebble tray, which I actually don't have, but here's a photo. This was day 6 out of 30 of my beginner plant parent tips. Follow me for more.
How do you water your air plants? I water mine based on how much time I have. If I have 10 to 20 minutes, I'll just soak them in a bowl of warm water. Make sure they're fully submerged. Sometimes I just mist them really well. If I don't have time, just soak them, or I don't have a bowl big enough. Sometimes I run them under the sink and I just soak them really well. Sometimes I set them outside when it's raining so they get rainwater instead of sink water. The most important takeaway is that you dry them upside down. So the crown, which is like the core area, doesn't rot if water is left in there. So let it dry out for about 20 to 30 minutes before you put it back on display.
It's time for another underrated plant of the day. Today's underrated plant of the day is the Alocasia cerean, also known as Alocasia serena, but we like cerean. This particular Alocasia is actually a hybrid of the Alocasia zebrina, which is Ziggy, and the Alocasia frydek, which is the velvety Alocasia. I will put both right here so you can see what both individually look like and what it made to be the Alocasia cerean. Now the cool thing about the Alocasia cerean is that they have the zebra stems, which I absolutely love. And they have this kind of like leathery kind of texture to their leaves and a bit more shinier than like the Alocasia zebrina. It's a really cool texture, and I think it's just because of the velvety / leathery mix from both the plants it is derived from. So of course these things can get huge like any Alocasia given the correct growing condition. And I love this little guy because he just reminded me of a baby Ziggy, and I've just been, you know, so pleased to see him grow. He actually has a new leaf coming and I'm so excited. So same as any other Alocasia pretty much needs tons of humidity or you're gonna have some spider mite issues. Also in terms of their soil, so they like to keep their soil moist. This soil mix has just a tad bit of orchid bark, some soil like ocean forest, and then some perlite for a little bit of drainage, but they like to keep their soil a bit more on the moist side. Now I do like let my Alocasias dry out just like a tad, like not completely how I do some of my other plants, but just a tad, because they absolutely do not like soggy soil. They don't like sitting in tons of moisture, just like the right amount of moisture. Like you can almost see how dark that is, like it's pretty moist. They also like tons of bright light. He is actually in a window right behind Ziggy, and he gets west facing window light. So it's pretty much bright in this room all day, but he gets a lot of the evening sun that comes in, and he's absolutely been thriving off of it. I actually brought this little guy back to life. When I first got him, he just like fell out and he had no leaves. And then I put him in my IKEA greenhouse. He grew this first leaf, and then he grew this first leaf. And I was like so proud. I was like, oh my gosh, I brought him back from the dead. Then he grew this leaf, and now he grew this leaf. So now he's very happy in my home. I feel like because of its size and just, you know, it's not like super particular, but I would say that a beginner could probably handle this as their intro to Alocasias. So how do you like the Alocasia cerean? Let me know. What do you think about this underrated plant of the day?
Look at plant pigments. The first one that we talked about is chlorophyll. Now chlorophyll is a nice green pigment that we saw. Plants have two types of chlorophylls called chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. They're very similar, but they can absorb different wavelengths or slightly different colors of light. Now plants absorb light with their photosystems 1 and 2, which have chlorophyll molecules embedded in them. The little light goes down and the chlorophyll molecule is like an antenna that can pick it up and receive it and turn it into chemical energy. So most plants have chlorophyll molecules. If not, then they have other ways of getting nutrients.